So it all boils down to this, and what a cracking EFL League One player final we have on our hands. What am I talking about? Well, I'll tell you all about it next. That's right, folks, back once again with another prediction video today. It is the EFL League One final, that's right, in the playoffs. Who's going to go up? Who's, of course, remain stuck here in League One? Of course, Championship football awaits our winner. But who will that be? Well, I'll tell you in a second. Of course, if you're new, where you've been, hit the old subscribe. And a big shout out to the members and the patrons, that's right. Of course, we're coming at you here in the week build-up for a playoff final between two cracking sides, two London sides, of course. And, of course, Wembley will be packed to the brim with these London faithful, of course, trying to draw all their boys on to the championship. Who's going to do it? Who's not? We'll take a little look in just a second. Of course, let's talk about it, though. It is, of course, League One, and it is coming at you right here, right now. This coming Sunday, I believe, to wrap up a 2024-2025 League One campaign. But let's, of course, turn the clock back to those semi-finals and remind ourselves of what I did, what you did in the predictions then, shall we? Here we go. All right, then, folks, here we go with those second legs. The first of them, Stockport County against Leyton Orient, was at Edgeley Park. And I actually went with the home side here, 2-0 win, but I was to be let down. That's right. Ended up being 1-1, which meant extra time and, of course, penalties, of course. And that, of course, brought the aggregate scoreline to 3-3. But Leyton Orient had the nerve, they had the bottle, they had the cojones, and they came out on top with a 4-1 penalty shootout victory against the host, Stockport County, to send the Orient, Richie Wellens, to, of course, a playoff final. But who will they take on? Well, we head over to the Valley. That's right, as Charlton took on Wycombe Wanderers after the first leg being 0-0. It was just the one goal, small decisions, and, of course, that's what we can expect with a Nathan Jones side. It was a 1-0 win. That was actually my prediction, and also the correct scoreline was a 1-0 win, which meant 1-0 was enough for Charlton to go through to a playoff final. Goodness gracious me. So we have set ourselves up for a Leyton Orient Charlton, of course, final. We'll get to all of that in a minute. What about this then, shall we? Let's take, of course, a review of how the season ended and why or whereabouts the guys finished in the old table. Well, we do know Birmingham and Wrexham finished top bins, and they, of course, in the Championship football, already on the beach, already, of course, sunning it up and getting a nice little tan. Going down, though, it's Shrewsbury, Cambridge, Bristol Rovers and Crawley. That's done and dusted. Burton hanging on in there, and we'll come back for another day. But the playoffs was Stockport, Charlton, Wycombe and Leyton Orient. Leyton Orient finishing 6th. They have been on a right old good bit of form of late. Charlton have been there or thereabouts for a good part of the season, and were a little bit hard done by for the wheels to kind of come off a little bit towards the back end of the season, which did see them miss out on an outside sniff of the top two. So that's how we, of course, got to the stage. But what about you guys? Of course, I think we can announce a winner with our prediction league at long last. It's been a long time coming, long old season, but this is our winner. It's Pressel Hinterland with 206 points on the agenda. Well done to you, sir. There is only 1 point left. Andy Speak came so close, but it will be just out of sight there. So 204 for him, 206%. We go again next season. Oh, it's lovely. We love a bit of prediction league. So that is that. We're wrapping it all up. So make sure you come in day one and be there to the bitter end, and you could be gloriously, victoriously like Pressel Hinterland. So that is that, guys. We have set ourselves up, though, for this. This is the playoff final, and it is Leyton Orient coming at you, taking on a Charlton Athletic side then. So let's take a look at these two sides and, of course, review some stats and figures and just kind of get a gauge of what we're looking at this coming final on the 25th of May. All right then, folks, here we go. It is the League One player final. It is at Wembley, and, of course, we're going to kick it all off with a review of the stats, a review of the figures, and, of course, kind of get a gauge of what we're talking about with this cracking match. We're going to start with Charlton and Nathan Jones, who did finish 4th in the league structure with 85 points. They're coming into just one defeat in the last 6. They're on 75% form for them at the moment. Taking on Leyton Orient side under Richie Wellens, who did finish 6th, but guess what? 92% form for them right now. They've won unbeaten in at least the last 6, and they got 78 points for the end of the season. Now, these two sides have played 16 times since 2006. They've got 9 wins at Charlton, 6 wins at Orient, and there's been 1 draw between the two sides. On the record, Charlton have a 3-1 win against Leyton Orient. They've got 24 goals scored in those 16 games, picking up a 1.50 goals game ratio. As for the Orient, they have a 2-0 win on their record. They've got 18 goals scored in those 16 games, picking up a 1.13 goals game record against Charlton. Now, let's take a look at these two. They actually played, this will be the fourth time they played this season. The first time was at the Valley, and it was a 1-0 win for Charlton way back in August 2024. That was match number 2, of course. The second time, well, let's not talk about the second time. We'll skip that for the moment. The reverse fixture at Brisbane Road way back in March. It was back at match number 34. It was a 2-1 win for Charlton as well. Good discretion me. But they did play way back in December in the round 2 of the EFL Trophy knockout stage. The Orient picking up a 2-0 win over Charlton. So how'd you like those apples, of course? So over the last 6, though, if we look at the last 6, Charlton have won 3 of them. Leyton Orient have won 2 of them, and there's been 1 draw. That 1 draw was a friendly, so that kind of cancels each other out anyway. Coming into this, though, the Charlton are on the back of a good bit of run, unbeaten in the last 3. Their last defeat was against Wrexham way back on the 26th of March. They've only conceded 1 goal in the last 3. As for Leyton Orient, of course, they had that 1-1 draw against Stockport. It's been back-to-back draws for them, really, under 90 minutes. But they do have a 4-1 win against Huddersfield not too long ago. So they've been scoring goals, but they have been conceding goals. As for Charlton, they seem to be very solid at the back, bar that Wrexham game. So it's going to be quite tight. And the bookies do have Charlton as favourite. Of course, on paper, when you look at the league positions there, Charlton were much further up the field than Leyton Orient, who did come in there towards the back end a bit. But form is something else right here, right now. The Orient have been on an amazing bit of fun. I'm trying to look back to the last defeat. I think it was actually a surprise defeat way back in April the 1st. It was an April Fool's Day joke as Burton picked up a 2-1 win against the Orient. So that was their last defeat, according to my data right here, right now. They're going to be relying on the goals of Charlie Kelman, 23 goals thus far. As for Charlton, they'll be relying on the goals of Matty Godden there, chipping in with 18 goals himself. So we'll see if they can all deliver on the day. So what about the bookies? Well, the bookies actually give it to Charlton here with odds of around about 13-8 on, with Leyton Orient at 13-10. What about me? Well, I honestly, I really don't know. And what do my head says one thing, my heart says another thing. My heart doesn't really care. I do like the fact that Leyton Orient are here. They're actually here. And they could actually be playing Championship football next season. And that would be the fairy tale answer. It would be, Leyton Orient are, wasn't too long ago they were scrambling around League 2 and maybe even beyond that. I don't even know. Did they ever get relegated beyond that? But regardless, to have them in the second tier is absolutely, it is the fairy tale. Everyone talk about this Wrexham fairy tale. That's nonsense. That's garbage. That's ludicrous. Leyton Orient is the true fairy tale. If they do it, then they'll be absolutely phenomenal. Meanwhile, as for Charlton, of course, they're a Premier League old boy, original, OG, way back when, and they've not been the Championship for a few years now. And Nathan Jones, I know he gets a lot of stick, lots of heat. He is an interesting fella, and I do rate him. I like his shithouse merchant tactics. He is, of course, a master of the dark arts, and it gets results. And I'd like to see him back in the Championship. Of course, it might be at a detriment to my own club. So I'm on the fence. I really don't know which way to go on this one. So I'm going to enjoy the game. I'm going to be rooting for either. I'm rooting for a cracker, and I'll be celebrating regardless because I have a fire in both pits here. Or whatever, you know what I mean. So, but ideally, truthfully, honestly, I think Leyton Orient would be the one I really, really want to win this one and go through to the Championship. I just think it would be a more romantic sort of thing, cracking a story, because this wasn't long ago that they were in League 2 and scrambling. So that's what my heart would say, but I've got to go with my head. My head is where it's all at here, all the stats, all the figures, all jumbling around. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Charlton, unfortunately, which again, I'm not too just disappointed about. I'm happy for Nathan Jones. I'm happy for the Charlton fans to be back. And of course, I've been to the ground. I like it. I like the club. So, and they've gone through the mill with tumultuous owners and whatnot. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 win, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Again, I kind of really want Leyton Orient to do. I've always kept an eye on Leyton Orient. They're a unique club. They're a London club, and I'd be very happy if they do it. But I just think Charlton have the edge. That's it, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Of course, we look forward to this final. And of course, I'll be back with my early door 2025-2026 League 1 predictions very soon after the final whistle of this one, or maybe after the League 2 game, but depending on what goes on. You know what it is. But until then, I am done.